Welcome back, CVSNation. Welcome back to another video.
What's going on, y'all?
How are you?
How is everybody? We hope everybody is doing well. Today is the day, y'all.
Today is the day.
Today we talk about how we got pregnant in our journey.
Yeah.
IVF journey.
It's exciting.
Very exciting stuff.
I know a lot of people were wondering, how the process went, what we went through. We kind of kept it to ourselves. Mm-hmm. We're pretty private about that, but now it's time for us to open up.
Yeah.
Just to help somebody else who might be in the same situation or would like to be in the same situation one day.
Right. Long story short, we both went through IVF and we both were successful on the first try. So this is maybe a how-to guide. How did we do it? Just a little bit of insight into our life so that it can maybe, like my wife said, help somebody else out that is attempting to do this or is already in the process of doing it. Like, we're really here to just give what happened to us, give that information out, and just see if we can be a help and a blessing to somebody else.
Yeah, remember, this is our journey.
Yes.
Not that many people go through the same process or have the same steps, so it's a little different, but this is our journey and we wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, let's get into it.
Yeah, all right, so first question, when did our IVF journey start?
So it started in a couple years ago. And both when Vanessa and I met, we were talking and, you're going through all those dating questions and what do you want to do and how do you see yourself in a couple years and where do you want to be and, all those questions, right? And one of the main questions that really stood out to me was the fact that she wanted to have kids and I wanted to have kids, and we wanted to do it when we were ready to do it. And so a couple years ago we decided, you know what, now's the time. It is time to do what we want to do.
Yeah, you have to get serious about it to the point where you're ready to start. So thinking about it and really talking to your partner and being prepared, that's the first step. Making sure that you guys are both serious, and then you take that step together. It was pretty awesome. All right, so what was the process to ultimately get pregnant?
Oh, wow. So
I know it's a long process.
That is a very long process.
Can you remember that far back?
You know what? What's crazy is, and I don't want to sound insensitive, but you really forget a lot of the details as the months and years go on. Yeah. It's a lot. It's so much, but you really do start to forget a little bit of the things. And it's really, what's crazy is when you're going through it, there's so many shots and so many medications and so many pills that you have to take. And it's such a strenuous journey. So you would think that you wouldn't forget any of it, but you literally put it to the back because you do go through so much. Mm-hmm. But I do remember when we got serious about it, we made that initial call. Yep. We had found a fertility center in Philadelphia and, set up a consultation and just see what it was about, see what we needed to do, how we needed to prepare, what the steps were. Obviously, being a lesbian couple, we don't have, the I guess,
the normal criteria,
the normal, yeah,
or whatever you want to call it.
The normal body parts for that to work. So we really wanted to know how we would.
There was a way.
We would do it.
There is a way for us to do it. We're in the 20th century, so there's definitely a way for us to do it. We just needed guidance and figure out what the process was.
Right. Exactly. So we did that, and in that initial consultation, our doctor just asked this question, and it was literally with the doctor.
Yeah.
It wasn't with like a receptionist or anything like that. It was literally with the doctor. We sat down with him just like this, like it was both of us and him across from his desk, and he asked us, why we wanted to do it, which ways we wanted to do it, if we knew anything about the process, if we were healthy, medical questions, stuff like that. And just pretty much gave us a rundown of everything that it would take for us to become pregnant. He didn't give us specifics, obviously, because as you go along throughout the process, your body pretty much determines what the next step is going to be.
Yeah.
And we were two different people, so it's two different processes. So he asked us those initial questions, we gave him those answers, and then he asked us when we wanted to start.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. We were able to see him together because, like Candace said, we got pregnant together. We both got pregnant. So he was able to break down a plan for myself and a plan for Candace. And then, it was just when we were ready to start.
Yeah. Not to jump on you on what you said, but we didn't get pregnant together. But we did go in together. That initial consultation, we went in together. And at first, he did actually bring up, like, well, do you guys want to be pregnant at the same time?
Yeah,
and we were like, nah. Bro. Like, no. Yeah, no, that ain't gonna work. So then he was like, all right, so go home, talk about it. When do you want to start would be, one of the first questions, and who would be the first one to get pregnant? Who should they focus on really first, right? Mm-hmm. So we went home, we talked it over. And we decided that we wanted to start right away, and that I was going to be the one to start the process really first. That initial, I kind of break it down. I break the IVF process down into 3 steps. I break it down into that first initial part where it's a lot of ultrasounds and a lot of blood work, yeah.
Tests.
Just that initial testing process is
testing
really
our bodies.
Exactly.
Women parts to make sure they're functioning.
Right.
There's a lot that goes into that initial.
Yeah. So
consultation.
So that first part of it is pretty much you just going back and forth to the doctor and them finding out as much as they can about your body. So you're literally going in probably like 2 to 3 times a month, would you say?
Yeah.
With different ultrasounds that you have to go to, going in for blood work. It might have even been more than that.
Yeah, I think it might have been more. And then we had to go to separate locations to get different type of tests done.
Right.
We had to do a test at an actual hospital to, look at more in-depth, testing. Yeah. Or pictures, I should say.
Yeah. And that is where I found out that my fallopian tubes?
Yeah, fallopian tubes.
Yeah, there was something wasn't exactly, it wasn't normal. It wasn't bad, but it just wasn't normal. Like there was a blockage somewhere in there, and the doctor was slightly concerned, which made me concerned and which made us concerned as a couple. But he assured us that even though we had found this blockage, that everything was going to be okay. Really, the doctor was very forthcoming with the information. He let me know what the results were right away, let us know what was happening, and he looked into it and was like, look, this is something that we can get through. This isn't going to stop us. So we kept on going. We stayed strong through it. And I think that is really the key to successful IVF, is just staying positive throughout everything. It doesn't matter what they are saying, and it really doesn't matter what you believe. If you believe in God, a higher power, whatever it is, even if you don't believe in anything, it really is just about staying positive, trying not to beat yourself up. You know, your body is your body. It is what it is. The older that you get, obviously, the more things that your body has gone through. So there's going to be issues, or even no issues that really, you know, that come up and that could affect your possibility of getting pregnant.
Yeah, I have to agree. And I think at that moment was probably the most pivotal moment for me trusting our doctor, because every time that, you know, we thought, oh my God, this is going to be an issue or whatever, he would just turn it around and like, I've seen this. I know how to tackle it. This is what we're going to do now. Yeah. This is what we're going to do next. And I think that because of that positive experience and, you know, just the way that it all just went down, I mean, it was pretty dope.
Yeah.
And I got to say that was probably the moment where I felt the most secured with him.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely say that was probably when I knew that he was a doctor for us.
Yes.
Yeah, because he was so confident, and you could just see, like, he knew exactly what he was talking about, what he was doing, and he was prepared to tackle whatever he had to tackle.
And in that test that Candace found the, you know, blockage in her fallopian tube, I was on the opposite spectrum. The test went pretty smooth. There was no issues. I had what you call a very good uterus, and the only issue that I was going to be facing was the fact that I was much older and my egg count was very low. Yeah. So he, like I said, he let us know everything, regardless of what it was, good or bad, but he stayed very positive and just was able to turn any type of situation that probably would have went left in any other place. He kept it going straight, so...
Very true.
I gotta say, that was a blessing.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
So then after that test, and after the results from that test, we then had to schedule a psychiatric test, which we were like, I'm sorry, what?
What?
Like,
we have to go talk to somebody now? We have to get an approval?
Sit down with the psychiatrist. But it was really, it was fun.
Yeah, it was pretty dope.
Yeah, it was really just them, I guess, trying to see why we were doing this, if we were doing it for the right reasons, if we were going to be a good fit as parents. I don't know how you can tell that, you know, because anybody can put on a front, but it was really nice to just sit down and talk to someone, and they had a lot of resources.
Remember? Oh yeah, that was probably the most that we got out of that that session, because we got a ton of resources, a ton of different books that we can research or purchase to kind of read through a lot of things, things that were LGBTQ, you know, related. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, so that went very well.
The first step went...
Yeah, that whole process went well. And then once we had completed those initial tests, so both she and I both completed those initial tests.
At the same time.
At the same time. Then, because we had already established that I was going to be going first, then I proceeded on with the next part, which would be part 2. Of this whole IVF journey. So part 2 pretty much meant that we were getting a box, and it kind of looked like this. It was like a box.
Maybe a little bigger.
Yeah, maybe a little bit bigger. I don't know if you can see that. Focus on that, right? Yep. So it was like a box like this, right? Comes in the mail. And the box, we open it up, and it's just got medication and shots and needles and
syringes and alcohol pads. It's got everything you need. Everything.
Pills and literally everything for every step of the process. For the next part, which was the egg retrieval process, all the way up until the embryo transfer process. Like, there was medication in this box for days. So all of this stuff is now in this box, and I'm looking at Vanessa like, what are we supposed to do? I am not good. Like, I can take a shot. You can give me a needle. It's fine. Not an issue. But having to do it myself, trying to do it in my butt, in my back, in my stomach, I was like, no, I can't. This is not for...
Yeah, it was tough.
It's very, very difficult to do by yourself. So if you're doing it by yourself, more power to you. I'm sure there are women out there that are going through this by themselves. 100% more power to you.
And you can.
You can.
You definitely can.
You definitely
it's just
can.
a little bit
harder.
It's a lot harder to do by yourself. So much power to you if you are doing it by yourself. I know, though, I needed somebody to inject me because it was going to be very hard for me to inject myself. So we started everything. They gave us step-by-step instructions on what to do. Our nurse, which a part of our IVF center, our fertility center, they give you, or they designate you, I should say, a nurse that's specifically... A whole team almost.
It's a whole team, yes, but there's one specific nurse that is for you, and which was for us.
Yeah.
And she made sure we could reach out to her, and she made sure that we were good as far as our journey. So as far as making sure that our shots were being done right, making sure that we were taking the medication, like she was really, on top of us for that.
It's important.
It is very
important because your IVF journey will depend on how you complete these steps at home, because they're trusting that you're getting these medications in your body, you're helping your body get through that process, and they're trusting that you're doing your part, so that when we get to the office and they see us, we're at that point where we're ready. So be careful and make sure you just follow what you need to.
Absolutely. So in that second part, the second part leads up to your egg retrieval. Okay, so basically they are trying to get as many eggs as possible to basically fertilize as many as they can, so that your chances of becoming pregnant are a lot greater, right? So they're trying to inject you with as many hormones and medications to help you produce as many eggs as possible, so that on one specific day they can go in and basically take out all of the eggs that have formed in your body. Okay, so it was, how long would you say that process was, babe? Just from the start of the egg retrieval to actually the egg retrieval?
I think it was about a month.
Yeah.
It was a couple weeks. It was a couple weeks. It was like a whole month process, because they're evaluating your body. They're seeing when you're about to start to ovulate. They're seeing your hormones in your body change, because we're going now this time the whole month, meaning we have to go get blood work done almost every other day or every few days. They're testing to make sure that your body's reacting well to the products, and then
you're getting ultrasounds to see how many eggs are growing. You're also getting ultrasounds to see how they're growing, if they're growing, how big they're growing, because they want them in a certain range. So they're literally seeing how many eggs are inside of you, and they're waiting for them to get to a certain what is it, like a certain...
It's a certain size.
Yeah,
they get to a certain size, and that's what they need. They need them to be matured.
Yeah, there you go. That's the right word, matured. Yep. So that happened. That's the second step, and they give you a trigger shot day. Okay, so all those shots and medications lead up until your trigger shot day, where you, the night before, what was the night before?
Yeah, it was the night before your egg retrieval.
Your actual egg retrieval surgical day. You take this shot, and it basically just gets you ready for the actual egg retrieval process. Okay, and for me, it hurt. Okay, the day of the egg retrieval, I'm telling you, it was like it makes you want to release the eggs. So it felt like, excuse my language, but it felt like I had to take the biggest number 2 ever. Like, I was so bloated. I felt like it was coming out of me by the time we were like ready to leave our house. I was in so much pain going from the house to the actual center where they were going to do the egg retrieval. I was in so much pain. Like, she was driving and she was going over bumps, you know, and speeding, and I was just like, oh my God, like, this is too much. I'm holding on to the oh shit bar, like, Lord Jesus, it's gonna come out of me. I got eggs coming out. I don't even know what that's gonna look like, but it is not good. Like, this is not good.
But you were in pain probably about a week before that too, because the bigger they got, the more she kept complaining about being crampy, and, you know, like, she just really was not feeling well. And it wasn't that she wasn't feeling well, it was just more like she could feel what her body was doing. But that last day was like, all right, that's
enough is enough. I was just like, this is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I think I had over, not to give too much information, but I had over 20 some eggs and like, they were big, so it hurt. Like, I have never felt internally like I was going to explode. Like, it was literally like, oh no, this is.
Just to put it to perspective, each woman ovulates 1 egg every month.
Yeah.
One. Not 20.
Not 20.
Or more, because there could be more. I think there was a little bit more. Yeah. And then there were some that are less. So it's more than 1. Your body is not used to that.
No. My body was not used to that. So by the time, let's just speed it up a little bit. So by the time I got there, I was like, yep, let's go. They were like, you need to use the bath. Nope, just get me in, please, and let's just do this.
Unfortunately, I couldn't be in there because it was
during coronavirus.
The
height of coronavirus.
Yeah, the very height of it.
Yeah, so she couldn't even
car.
Yeah, she couldn't even go in with me.
Yeah.
Which, you know, that would have made it so much better for me just to have my person with me.
Yeah.
But they would not allow it. I had to go in by myself, and you know, it was definitely emotional because I wanted her there with me for the obvious. But I was really like, okay, let's just do this because we got this.
And they put you to sleep. The egg retrieval, you are asleep. It's a surgical procedure, so you are in an operating room. You are following the regular guidelines to do that. Yep. So I knew she was in good hands, but I really wish I would have been there too.
Yeah, I really wish you would. Oh, it's not your fault.
I know, but still,
we got through it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, it was tough. I mean, for all those people too that probably went through it around that time where we had to wait in the car and every ultrasound, every doctor visit. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah,
but anyways, tangent. Go on the other.
Yeah. So finally, it's over. It's done. They retrieved all the eggs out of me. The process went well. Probably within 30 minutes to an hour, I was back in the car, headed home, feeling so much better. But now I wasn't necessarily in the pain from having all of the eggs in me. I was now in pain from the surgical process. Yep. And, you know, everybody's body is different. I don't think you had as much pain after that as I did.
After? No.
Yeah, because I remember when I when I went through it, you know, the drive from the fertility center to our house, I was like, oh, okay, this is so much better than when we left. But by the time I had got home and I had gotten in the bed, I remember I could not move. I was really in a lot of pain. And I remember you were like, what do you want for dinner? And I was like, I don't care. I don't care whatever you want. And I remember you ordered food and you were like, do you want to come to the kitchen and eat? And I was like, I don't even think I can get up. And I literally tried to, and I ended up on my side, and that was as far as I could go. And she had to bring the food to me, and I had to eat the food literally on my side because I was just in that much pain. The medicine hadn't kicked in yet. They do give you medicine after the fact, but that hadn't kicked in yet. I had just gone through this medical procedure. I was lying on my side like, oh, I don't know about this. But literally within the next week or so, I was good.
Yep.
I was fine. Every day got a little bit better. And they tell you, you know, that first day, that first 24 to 36 hours, you're not going to feel the best. So don't do anything. And then slowly but surely, you know, get up, start to move around, you know, move from the bed to the couch, you know, see what you can do, and then just take it slowly from there. And that's what we did. That's what I did. Okay, so that was part 2, and now we're on part 3, which is leading up into the embryo transfer. Ooh, let's go back, because I don't want to say the most important part, because definitely not the most important part, but they do tell you while you're going through that egg retrieval process, like leading up to the actual egg retrieval day, you have to get some sperm in between there, right? You got to get something that's going to get into that egg and create your beautiful baby.
Yeah.
Right? So, how did we do it, babe?
Well, we went online to the California Chiro Bank. There's a lot of different Chiro banks out there. We just went with the one that we found the right match for us that we were looking for, as far as the ethnicity and all the background and whatever what you may have. But yeah, we found one. And
also along with that, you have to, because you've done all this blood work up until this point, our doctors knew exactly blood type, what was in our blood, diseases, no diseases, what they knew, literally everything that was in our blood. So with that being said, and with that information, when you go to choose your sperm or your sperm donor, you have to make sure that their blood, their sperm, is compatible with your blood. You know, you don't want,
that's a big step,
them to have a disease or you to have a disease, and then, you know, one person having a disease and another person having a disease basically means that child is going to have that disease. So you kind of, it's like it's not the disease, it's more like the blood types need to match, because some blood types can't mingle well with other blood types and can cause a lot of issues with the child. True. What I was talking about, sorry to cut you off, what I was talking about was not necessarily like diseases that you might, because there's some health issues and diseases that aren't, that aren't on the forefront, right? Like there's a lot of things that are hidden in our DNA.
Yes.
Right? So if you do have something that is hidden in your DNA, and then you have sperm that it's very prevalent that it's in their DNA, and those two come together, most likely your child is going to have that, even though I might not have it, or it's not showing in me, because the sperm had it. Then it's like, okay, well, 3/4 of this thing has it, so most likely it's going to be in your child. That's more so what I was talking about.
And that's why they put you through all those tests, so that they can find the right information to provide you, so that when you are looking for the right donor, you can find the one that's best for you.
Right.
And it takes a while. It's not something, I mean, from start to finish, I think we were like, 8 months in now, or 9 months in, almost, from when we initially started that first section to the egg retrieval. So it's not just like a month. It's not just 2 weeks. Time. It takes a lot of time.
It definitely takes time. And that's something that we took very seriously.
Yeah.
And we wanted to make sure that everything was what it should be. And our doctors let us know, like, look, even though we don't want to pressure you, you do pretty much have a time restraint, because if you're going through the egg retrieval process, by the time your eggs are retrieved, you need to have sperm to insert into these eggs.
Already there, waiting at this.
Yeah, it's already got to be there.
Yeah.
Like there is no, it can be in the mail, Or, I'm going to get
Next
Day
week.
from across the street to come to the sperm bank, and he going to do what he got to do.
No.
Like,
everything has to be prearranged.
It has to be pre-done. Everything has to be done. Has to be set up right. So you have to have it by your egg retrieval day.
Yep.
Just in case if you're wondering. So on to the part 3 of this. This is leading up into the embryo transfer. We are now, and I should say not we, it's mostly me. At this point, I was like, all right, I don't mind a shot here and there, but it's been a lot of shots. Like, it's been months and months of shots and needles and pills. And we're not just talking about like one shot every 2 days. We're talking like 2 shots every day, pills, taken orally. It even got to the point where my body just was not, it just wasn't taking the shots very well. For me, and what I'm saying by that is, like, every time that Vanessa would inject, like, it went pretty smoothly, but it got to the point where I was like bleeding a lot,
uncomfortable.
I was so uncomfortable, and I was like, okay, I don't really think that the shots at this point, I got to do what I got to do, but let's see if there's like another option to the shot. And there was. Our nurse informed us that I could start taking pills vaginally. So I would take one orally, and then I would take one vaginally, something like that, and that was like twice a day. And then also you're also taking your prenatals, and you're starting that. So you're taking a lot of medication. It doesn't stop. The medication does not lighten up. Thankfully, I was able to stop the shots at that point, but I was still taking a lot of medication orally and vaginally. So we got through that, and now...
So we got through the egg retrieval. Right after the egg retrieval, because they already had everything at the, I guess the, what do you call it? The science center?
The fertility center.
Wherever they do the embryos.
Yeah.
So as soon as they retrieve it, then within the next few days, they start to communicate every day with us.
How many eggs they retrieved. How many eggs are still living, because each day that goes by, you can have some eggs start to die off because they're no longer within my body. They're now basically in a petri dish. So you will have some eggs start to die off, or they're not even eggs at this point because they've been injected with sperm, so they're embryos.
They're starting to develop.
Blastocysts, if you will. So they thankfully, our nurse, she was awesome. She would call us and just let us know day by day exactly how many embryos, blastocysts we had, how many were still there, how many were still growing, and then they probably like a week or two later, was it like, I would say
about a week.
Yeah, a week or two later, they then call with the final count of how many blastocysts you have.
That made it through like all the washing, all the testing, all they go through so much testing.
Yeah.
I mean, they can see every little thing with every single embryo.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It
like,
really is.
Science is amazing.
And we opted to have testing, even more testing done on our embryos.
Yes.
So that we knew for sure, that everything was what it was supposed to be.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's very true.
So they went through even more testing. So every day she was letting us know like how the testing was going, how many made it through each day, and then they finally give you a number of how many they're actually going to freeze.
Yep.
And in that number, that's how many blastocysts you now have, like forever, pretty much, because they're gonna freeze them and then that's it. So she let us know our number and let us know that we had some girls in there and that we had some boys in there.
Yeah.
And and we were ecstatic.
Yeah.
I remember when we got that news.
I know, I do too.
I was stoked. I was like, this is crazy.
I remember the day that the doctor called us and was like, all right, a boy or girl?
Yeah.
We're like,
believe
what?
this? Yeah.
You know that?
So I remember, so I was at work, right? I was at work, and I remember I got the phone call from our nurse, and she was like, okay, so your embryo transfer day is going to be this day. Here's the information. This is what you need to do. One last question for you before we hang up. What do you want to be? What do you want it to be? A girl or a boy? And I was like, I'm sorry, what? She's like, yeah, what sex of the baby would you want? And I was like, you can do that? Like that? What? You can do this? She was like, yeah. I was like, well, this is something that I had not spoken to my wife about, so let me call you back. And I immediately called Vanessa, and I was like, babe, can you believe they're asking what sex we want as our baby?
And we hadn't really thought about it.
Well, I do remember, like, in the beginning, we were like, oh, it would be dope to have 2 girls.
No. At the very beginning, you don't remember this probably, but at the very beginning, we didn't want to know what it was. We let the doctor choose which one that he was putting. We said, we don't want, it doesn't matter. You pick. We told him, and he said he went with number 1.
You're right. Yes, you're right.
He went with number 1, right. The very first one.
But you're right. You're right about that. But when you and I were talking, like, when we were like dating and all that stuff, we were like, man, if we were to have kids, it would be dope to have 2 girls. Yeah. We didn't talk about it anytime after that. No. And when they asked, I was like, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to get back to you because we have not discussed this information.
Not recently.
Yeah. And you're 100% correct. Yep. Yeah.
We said, you know what, doctor, this is a blessing for us to have this opportunity, period. You pick.
Yeah, that's exactly how it happened.
And he picked number 1.
He picked number 1. And
that's all he told us. He said it was just, I'm picking number 1.
Yep, that's so true. Yeah.
And we waited for a while.
Yeah.
Before we're like, wait a minute, we know which number he picked. We have the report of all the numbers.
Wait. So well, we had already gone through the embryo transfer part before we were even like looking.
Exactly. Yeah.
So we had even gotten to the embryo transfer day.
Weeks.
Yeah, this is weeks out. So we had gotten up into the embryo transfer. We're kind of like moving past a little bit, but we got to that embryo transfer day, and it was another surgical process. But this process I could stay awake for.
Yep. I couldn't be there.
She could not be there.
And the embryo transfer, if everybody doesn't understand what that is, it's when they take the full embryo that they just created, that is a live, healthy baby.
So this is it.
And they transfer that into the woman's uterus. In this case, Candace's uterus.
So this was the actual picture that was on the screen when I got in there. And of course, I am like, now I'm like tearing up at this point because I can see our baby on the screen. And it was the most amazing thing. I couldn't keep my eyes off of that screen. Mm-hmm. But then there was another screen that was showing you exactly what the doctor was doing. So I got to see exactly how the doctor was taking this beautiful creation out of the petri dish and inserting it into Miss. I mean, that's what it was, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So you can see him literally suck this beautiful baby out of this petri dish and insert it into me. Yeah. And it was just the most magical thing ever. I did not feel anything initially. Mm-mm. It was just like, okay, now you're pregnant,
We had to wait
Go
2
home.
weeks.
Yeah. And wait 2 weeks, come back, and we'll tell you whether or not you're pregnant. We'll give you a blood test. And I remember I was doing all this research beforehand on how, like, what to do when you do this embryo transfer. Like, and so many people were saying, like, you should go to McDonald's after. Like, as soon as you get done the embryo transfer, go to McDonald's, because that, for whatever reason, that helps out, you know? So I was like, we're going to McDonald's. Like, I don't care. I want this baby to stick, for less of a better word. You know, I want this baby to be in here. We're going to McDonald's. Somebody said it on a blog that they went to McDonald's and it worked, so I'm going to McDonald's. Sure enough, after we did not go to McDonald's, we ended up going to Sacanti's to get pizza.
Yeah.
But I figured they were saying that it's the greasy food that does it. And I was like, well, pizza, that's kind of greasy. It's on the same page. Let's do pizza. You wanted pizza. Yeah. I wanted pizza. So we were like, you know what? Let's go do pizza.
It's Sacanti's in New Jersey.
Oh, man.
Guys are the best.
The best. So that's what we did. We ate pizza and we showed out for the rest of the night. I didn't do much. Vanessa didn't do much. We just kind of hung out. And then that was on a Thursday. On Sunday, I experienced my first and only bout of morning sickness. First and only. Literally. Had the embryo transfer on a Thursday. On Sunday, I was throwing up everything in my being.
I remember the peanuts.
Yes.
Remember the mix?
Yes.
Oh, man.
So that Sunday, I had made Sunday dinner. And we ate and everything was good. And it was just the best.
Like always.
And look at you. Trying to get some extra points. I see you. But, and so... after I was being greedy like I usually am, and we had this peanut chocolate mix, 2 packs of them, you know, little snack packs of
it's like a trail mix.
Yeah, like a trail mix. And I remember you asked me, you're like, you know, do you want some? I was like, yeah, sure, you know, let's bring it to the bed, we'll watch TV, we'll chill out for the rest of the day. It's a Sunday, let's just relax. And within 10 minutes of me laying down in the bed, I just felt this overwhelmingly
watery mouth,
just this feeling of just not being right. Okay, I just started sweating profusely, and I was like, babe, something just doesn't taste right with these. And she's over there chomping away at these things, like going to town. I'm like, no, something's not right with my bag. Like, I don't know what's in the bag, but something's not right. I'm not going to eat it. Do you want it? And she's like, yeah. So she takes it. She's eating. I'm like, how are you eating that? Like, you don't taste that? She's like, no, I don't taste anything. Within a couple minutes of that moment, I was in the bathroom and it was all coming out. And I remember it just would not stop.
Yeah.
Until it did. And I was like, that's interesting. Do you think? But you know, there it was. It was just I know for me internally, I knew. I was like, yeah, I'm pregnant. I'm definitely pregnant. But, you know, we still had those 2 weeks of waiting. And we waited. And we waited. It was the longest 2 weeks. It will be the longest 2 weeks if you're going through this. It's just a very long process. And, you know, they say not to take a pregnancy test in those 2 weeks. Did I wait to take a pregnancy test, babe?
No.
I wasn't going to wait to take a pregnancy test. It didn't tell you 2 weeks not to take a pregnancy test. I'm taking a pregnancy test.
Even if they don't come out anything.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm going to take a pregnancy test. About 4 of them.
I was just going to say, tell them the real number.
Yeah, I'm going to take a pregnancy. How do you go through this whole journey of needles and shots and medication, and then you finally do this embryo transfer where there's now maybe a baby inside of you, and then say, oh, wait 2 weeks? Nah, bro.
You got to experience the peeing in the stick kind of pregnancy test.
You have to.
Come on.
You have to pee on a stick. Okay.
Why not?
Pee on that stick as many times as you need to. For me, it was about 4 times in those 2 weeks. And every time it came out positive. I literally took a test that Monday after the Sunday where I had that Monday I took a test. It was a very
successful.
It was a slight line, but it was a line, and I knew. I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
So we, at those 2 weeks, came and went. We went to the doctor, did the blood test. We had to leave, and they had to call us with the results. They ended up calling us, and we knew we were pregnant in that moment. It was the most exciting thing ever.
Yeah. I think my most excited moment was when you came to the car after the one appointment, and you actually had an ultrasound.
Yeah.
That was...
So after we found out that we were pregnant, then started the going to the doctor to basically check up on the baby in those initial days right after
I think
confirming.
up until 10 weeks.
Yeah. But literally right after they confirmed that we were pregnant, we were then going back to the doctor just to make sure that the baby was growing and everything was good. And I remember that first ultrasound after when they gave us the ultrasound pictures, she couldn't come in with me like we said earlier, but I was just so happy to show her that ultrasound picture. But yeah, so it was great. It was great to just share that moment with her, even though she couldn't come in. And we just really just kind of loved on each other from that day forward, and loved on this baby.
Yeah. And then we got ready. And
Got ready for what?
For the arrival of our daughter.
Well, then we got, but that's a whole nother video. That's a whole nother video. We had the nursery ready. I was 2 months pregnant, and that nursery was ready. Okay, my bags were packed at the door. At 3 months, I was ready to go. I was so ready for this baby.
Definitely a planner,
and that is not an exaggeration. I was ready.
Like super planner. Had everything ready. Had the hospital bag packed.
So this was part 1, y'all, of our IVF journey. Stay tuned for part 2, where Vanessa tells you all about her IVF journey and how we were able to get through that.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you.
Please ask us any questions, comment. If you have any concerns, just let us know, what you're thinking, if you plan on doing it, and stay tuned.
Hit that subscribe button.
We got part 2 coming up.
Peace.
Peace.